Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 12 shows the Duttons reacting to Sarah Atwood's death, a murder possibly connected to the hitman she hired to kill John Dutton. Another death occurs on the ranch, leaving the family's problems unresolved. One of the most endearing couples in Yellowstone is Teeter and Colby. In Episode 12 of the 5th season, it premieres just how wonderful their bond is. Colby is back in Montana, while Teeter is out with other ranchmen relocating livestock from the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch. It's obvious that they miss each other. The fact that her voice takes an hour to reach Colby makes Teeter think about the time difference between them, though that statement is illogical. Colby informs her, however, that due to his deep affection for her, he will keep quiet about her saying it. As soon as Colby's first "I love you" slips out of his mouth, Teeter feels pain. She stops him in his tracks whenever he attempts to turn around. After that, she closes the call by expressing her love for him as well. Sadly, this touching scene between Colby and Teeter is all that Yellowstone has to offer in Episode 12 of Season 5 due to Sarah's death. Due to the shocking conclusion of Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 11, Sarah's death will inevitably be mentioned in Episode 12, Counting Coup. The authorities that arrived at the scene of the incident determined that Sarah's death was caused by a botched carjacking. Nevertheless, the investigators who speak with Jamie at his residence in Episode 12 hold a different opinion. They show that Sarah was probably not just a random victim of a carjacking, but rather a targeted victim, due to the fact that no one tried to unlock her car door. Her windows were down, and her pocketbook was on her lap. In their questioning of Jamie, the two cops want to know if his connection with Sarah was purely romantic or if it had any business overtones. In spite of Jamie's denials, he becomes visibly agitated when the investigators request to examine Sarah's possessions. Viewers soon discover why. Jamie, who was working with Sarah to bring down his father, who later died in Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 9, refuses to allow the police to examine Sarah's belongings. Jamie gets all lawyer-like with them. After learning that the cops want to take Sarah's possessions, he informs them that a warrant is necessary. According to Jamie, he is being treated suspiciously. Detective Dee informs Jamie that he wasn't thinking of him as a suspect. He's also helping out with John Dutton's case in Yellowstone. Amidst Jamie's tantrum, Dee has emerged victorious. Jamie dashes frantically to Sarah's room as soon as the two detectives depart. After searching her bag, he finally locates the paperwork he needs. While the contents of the documents remain unknown, it is quite probable that they implicate Jamie and Sarah in their quest to bring shame upon the Dutton family in Yellowstone. After Sarah dies, Jamie disappears for the remainder of the show, leaving us to wonder what he will do next. When all else fails, the ranch protagonists in Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2, must resort to extreme measures. As the Duttons prepare to lose part, or perhaps all, of their property, Rip Wheeler begins auctioning off the cattle from the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch in Counting Coup. Lloyd Pierce questions Rip about the ranch's future intentions and wonders if they're going out of business. In response, Rip clarifies that they are actually working to keep the company afloat. In addition to needing quick cash, Rip would prefer to lose their cattle than their land. Consequently, the Dutton family must sell a variety of livestock in order to maintain ownership of the ranch. In the second half of Yellowstone Season 5, the outcome of the Duttons' attempt to keep the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch will depend on how effective this strategy is. Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 12 opens with a touching scene between Colby and Teeter, but it seems like all it does is set up Colby's death later on in the hour. While tending to the water buckets in the stable, Carter encounters a ferocious and aggressive horse. Despite earlier warnings, Carter ventures into the horse's barn and finds the water pail empty. After cautiously making his way into the stable, the little lad successfully retrieves the bucket and fills it with water. But when Carter tries to return the bucket, things don't go according to plan. In Episode 12 of Season 5 of Yellowstone, the horse ambushes Carter, forcing him into a corner. Colby quickly races over to Carter's aid, diverting the horse's attention so that Finn Little's character may get away. The ranch hand Colby is killed the moment the horse stomps on him after it has fixed its sights on him. Carter uses a shotgun to kill the horse and calls for help, but unfortunately, nobody can save Colby. After receiving the tragic news of Colby's death from Rip, Ryan has to break the news to Teeter that her boyfriend has passed away. The tragic loss of Colby brings the total number of casualties in Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2 to 3. At the hour's close, Case is involved in one of the show's deadliest scenes from Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 12. The real nature of Jamie and Sarah's relationship is revealed to Dee Dee by Case. In the beginning of the episode, Case thinks about how Jamie put himself in Ed's warning about the blast radius of this catastrophe and how it shows that Jamie no longer cares about his well-being. Afterwards, Case contacts an old military buddy named Cade, who discloses that Sarah hired a professional hitman named Grant Horton to assassinate John. Tracing his evil impulses, Cade stealthily slips into Grant's car, leaving Grant's kid in the back seat. Grant is told to get in the car by the guy played by Luke Grimes, who brandishes a gun at the girl in a menacing tone. Case informs Grant that he knows everything about the hitman and has the ability to touch him whenever he wants, while also demonstrating the danger that he and his military contacts provide. In the last episode of Yellowstone's 5th season, Episode 12, Case pulls a gun on Grant before getting out of the car. This is part of a Native American ritual called counting Coup, which means that Case steals Grant's soul.